Hey guys, ever feel like you need a helper? Or 5? 3 automation tips are going to be given to you today for Trello to make your life easier. So hopefully you are on day 2 of the podcast workflow playlist and you have already completed all those steps that I gave you for day 1. You can head back over to the Facebook group at the Multi-Passionate Mompreneur to check those out, or even to the episode before this so that you can really get step by step on how to create your podcast workflow using Trello. Welcome back to the Multi-Passionate Mompreneur podcast, where we choose to focus our energy, embrace our strengths, and move toward the compelled businesswomen we were meant to be. It's time to free ourselves from the chaos and the constant stream of ideas and build a life of impact and joy that honors our hard stuff, that makes meaning of our losses, and that helps us to make an impact in the world. It's time to finally take our power back and gain the follow-through that we've been desperately needing, while also learning to leave the swirl behind. I'm Angel McElhaney, motherless daughter, self-discovery junkie, and not so master juggler of my crazy crew. And I believe you can have it all. So put down that to-do list, grab that coffee, and let's get to work, one day at a time, together. Have created your Trello, you have checked how to make boards and lists and all the things. So now what we're going to do is look in automation. Automation is setting up things to automatically happen. And while this can make your life easier and things to automatically happen on your board, doesn't that just sound amazing? I think of Mary Poppins, like, can I just twitch my nose and all these all the clothes get put away? If only, right? All right, so automation is going to help you to complete things. And we all know that it is not, I don't even believe like niching down and like getting into super niched categories for our business is what really catapults us to success. What I think it is consistency in getting things done. And yes, that does happen when you continue to serve and you complete things. So the goal for this is for you to prioritize what you want to get done, and then also to visually see the progress that you are making, because we don't give ourselves credit, guys. So there's so much time to where if you would think about one task, we think of it as, oh, I'm going to publish a podcast. Like, that's one thing. And guess what? It's not. You need to do outlining of the podcast and recording and, oh, let me edit it and add my intro and add my outro and let me, have all of these things, the graphics, the blog, the Pinterest, all the things. And so we keep adding things, and then we kind of start letting things drop off, and we start feeling like we're overwhelmed and scattered and like a squirrel. So my goal for this is for you to kind of take a step back and like look ahead and figure out the actual steps you take in a process. And because of that, you can actually use these same things really for anything. So if you don't have a podcast, this could work for a blog, for a YouTube channel, for honestly, even cleaning your house. Any workflow, any checklist, anything where you're trying to kind of prioritize things or to get organized. All right, so the 3 main automations that I'm going to talk about for this series of the playlist is going to be Butler. Now, I want to preface this by saying if you're not a techie person or you get overwhelmed easily and you start messing with this and it doesn't work right away, don't be like, oh, Trello, it doesn't work at all, I'm giving up. Just know that there can still be so many benefits even without using Butler, okay? So with Butler, the 3 ways you can automate is create a rule, create a command, and create a button, which is pretty cool. So there used to be a Butler bot, and you could still technically, I think, use that. And that is where you invited this bot, basically, to your page, and it had its own board, and you would tell it commands, and then it would be able to, for instance, add a label to this, or every day on Monday, reset my checklist, or whatever it is that you would tell it to do. Okay, well, now they've actually made Butler a power-up. What is a power-up? A power-up is something that basically adds another element to your board. You can actually get up, I believe, 3 power-ups if you decide to upgrade to gold, which ends up being about $3.75 a month. I actually did that just so I could see kind of what all the fuss about was, the power-ups. And so there were a couple of them that I thought was cool. Now, but I don't want you to think that you have to spend money for this. So I'm going to tell you some tips that are just for the free ones. And then if you decide that you want to upgrade, cool. If not, you can still find success with Trello. So the first one is creating a rule. Now you'll want to look at the video because it's really hard to kind of explain to you guys what creating a rule is, but essentially what you're going to do is create a trigger and then an action, and then what you're going to do is check to see if the bot actually understood you. And the new way of doing things, where this Butler is a power up and he is included free, don't worry, in the free plan, is actually even easier. So what you're going to do now is you're going to look up to the top right of your board. There's going to be, picture one of those bells that are at like the old school like hotels. So like the, oh gosh, I think of Home Alone with that little, it dings, you know. Do you know what I'm talking about? You'll have to go check it out now. All right, so that little icon, it says Butler next to it, and you click that, and that is where you are going to make your automations. Now, before you do this, you probably don't have much action on your board. Like, you kind of need to make some cards, make some stuff so that Butler can kind of know what this board's about, and it can actually recommend some actions to you. Now, there is also a whole nother board where Trello has made for you on how to use Butler, and people have examples of different commands that they use and that sort of thing. It definitely seems like it could be a rabbit hole for you to get lost in. I don't want you to get distracted that much. I just want you to know that this is another layer of a tool for you to use if you want to try to get a layer of automation, because I do think that we could all use a helper. Okay, so you can create rules, you can create commands, and then you can also create buttons. So the buttons are really neat because what you can do is you can tell your Butler to do certain things on your card or on your board whenever you want. So for instance, I have another board that's called My Week, and I actually have another board that I'm obviously showing in these videos this week that is the podcast playlist workflow. Well, what I'm doing is that when my card I want to move to this week, for instance, when that due date's approaching, or possibly wanting maybe to go to that next stage in my workflow, I want to see it on my week. So if I have this card, then what happens is this button can actually, once I click it, it can copy it to go into a different board. So that is a really cool feature for you to be able to see the boards working together. Now, this might take some work to like kind of play around with it. I know that I had one set up to where I could do an integration with Calendly. Now, this was with a power up, and so you remember you get one power up with the free plan, and typically you choose the calendar with that. And if you don't choose the calendar, you could obviously choose any other one, or you could upgrade to gold and get the calendar, but also this other one that I'm about to talk about. So this is kind of my bonus tip, and I'm really enjoying this power up, and it is called Zapier. So you essentially make a zap. So a zap is kind of like Butler, but it uses other apps and programs to kind of work together. So you can set it up to where, for instance, if someone was to go onto my Calendly and book a coaching call or an interview for the podcast, I can set it up to where it will make a card going into upcoming interviews, and I can even make a label to where I think I made sky blue will go onto it, and then I can see that card in there. What's also really neat is you can see all the responses. This kind of puts everything you need in one spot, for instance, when you go to do that interview, or even when you want to move that card along. And you can see clearly when you're having a solo show, and is it something to where I need to show up for something. The greatest thing that I've seen with doing a workflow, honestly, is being able to fully see what it is that I need to get done, what's in progress, and not feeling like I always have something to do. And by that, I mean that if I know where I'm at with different tasks, then I won't feel like I'm always forgetting something, or that I can't relax because I need to go and write in one of the 900 million notebooks my plan or all the things that are in my brain. Okay, so just to kind of reiterate what we've been talking about today, you can automate in 3 ways using Butler. You can create a rule, you can create a button, and you can also create a command. The commands are really cool because you're able to set a due date or for it to do a certain thing based on something on your calendar, which is really neat. I hope this helps you, and don't forget that special bonus. That bonus is the ability to use Zapier as a power-up if you'd like, so that you can do those special integrations so that you don't have as many different, honestly, programs running at once. And what this enables me to do is be able to have everything in one space so that I can see it. And as a multi-passionate, that is huge. Now, I hope this is helpful. Don't forget, here's your action steps. I would like you to go into your account, and I want you to make a couple cards and a couple tasks for you to be able to kind of fill your board. You need to have some things for you to move around so that Butler can see your patterns. Then what happens is I'd like you to click the Butler icon, and I want you to play around with making some simple commands. It actually will suggest a couple for you, and that's a great way to start. In the show notes, I will leave the how to use Butler for Trello board that they made so that you can kind of see what they do as well. Remember though, I don't want you to get lost in the rabbit hole. Our goal for this week is for you to actually complete the workflow. So go ahead and brain dump a bunch of your ideas, sort them into some content areas like we talked about before in the episode 1 of this series, and then just start moving them along. And that means getting into action, recording some episodes, editing some episodes, and realizing that you need to just start doing the thing. Sometimes we get so lost in the planning and almost relearning and learning and finding something else to add on to something to make something better, almost improving things that we already technically know, that we don't get to the doing part. And so this week I want you to really focus on not just the input but the output too. Don't forget to head over to the Facebook group Multi-Passionate Mompreneurs so you can see the accompanying video for this one, especially because seeing what Butler can do for you is really best done actually seeing it with your eyes. So head over there, let me know what you think about it, and I hope that you enjoy Butler, but I hope that it doesn't stop you. Sometimes working with tech can be a little frustrating, so just know that no matter what, this can still be a good workflow whether you decide to use automation or not. I hope this helped you, and until next time, wishing you joy and abundance, Angel. Hey mama, before you go, if you found value in today's show or you learned something new, stop on over to iTunes and leave me a review. I love hearing what you're taking from the show, and I'd love to hear from you on social media too. Hop on over to our Facebook group, The Multi-Passionate Mompreneur, and I'm on Instagram as well. My name over there is angel.mcilhaney. Check out the show notes for that crazy last name. See you there.